Hello, celebrity gossip enthusiasts. I'm Us Weekly's entertainment director, Travis Cronin, and you're listening to Us Weekly's Hot Hollywood podcast. Well, I am so lucky to be breaking down all of this Oscars drama, plus everything else going on. It is a big, fat, stuffed week. It is a grape leaf of a week of celebrity gossip, but I have my two amazing co-hosts to break it down with me. The owner of one vial of serum from the actual Fountain of Youth, Gwen Flamberg.
You know, it's more than one vial, Travis. That's my beauty secret. I've got a whole closet here in the home.
Great. Yeah. And why doesn't she burst into song anymore? Sarah Huron.
Oh, I still do, just on the weekends now, after I've had a few. And hello, everyone. I'm very tired.
Okay. Yes, we are all tired because of, I'm not even going to break down the news for you have this week because you've probably heard a little bit about it, but we are going to tell you even more. So when your friends inevitably bring this up, you will have insider info to say. But before we get into this, let's start off light with some of our woes of the week. Gwen Flamberg, what made you go whoa this week?
Oh gosh, guys, I still have smelling salts next to me because I continue to look at pictures of the red carpet of the Oscars. Before the brawl, there was the beauty and the style. And I got to tell you, some of Hollywood's finest just brought their style A game. I'm still dying over Zendaya in that kind of like neo-modern ode to Sharon Stone's Oscar look from years yore. Dead over Penelope Cruz in that Chanel haute couture with the bow at the neck. And oh my God, Jessica Chastain, while I liked her red carpet Grammys look, that was like mermaidy, her Vanity Fair's Oscar party in the green. I mean,
it should have worn that to win.
That would have been my number one. But you know who else was on our best dress list? Megan Thee Stallion, who just brought the glamour. Again, the perfect marriage of like modern and old school Hollywood together. And guys, if you haven't looked at all the dresses, please go to usmagazine.com/stylish. We've got every single dress on the red carpet, every single look at the Vanity Fair's Oscar party, the best beauty and fashion, and even a behind the scenes as Penelope Cruz got ready. So check it out.
Gwen, I have a question.
Pretty dresses.
Yeah.
What did you think of Kristen Stewart wearing shorts?
As my best friend Joellen Smith said, Kristen Stewart really skanked up the red carpet. I think I wore that to Jet, which was a nightclub in New York City in the 90s for all of the youth. Listen, hot outfit, awesome. If it was the Grammys or the VMAs, not for the Oscars red carpet. I did love, though, how right after she posed on the red carpet, she changed out of her heels into loafers because she was just as Travis Cronin said on our Style Files YouTube show, check it out, guys. Kristen Stewart, no F's given.
Yeah.
She is Bella Swan. Converse with prom dress is her vibe. And those shorts were Converse with a prom dress if I've ever seen one. She's not like other girls, ladies. She's a cool girl. She doesn't have to wear dresses.
But you're nominated for the biggest award potentially for your career. It doesn't even need to be a dress. Just wear pants. Cover your
legs. That's what I mean. Is she's trying so hard to be alternative. She's trying so hard to be alternative, and the pain and agony that she has for those cool points she was trying to rack up really plagued my soul. I feel a lot of feeling about those shorts. Great. Well, other than Kristen Stewart's shorts, Sarah Huron, what made you go, whoa, you just skanked up this red carpet this week?
Perfect transition into Blac Chyna. No shade meant to be thrown, but I don't know if you guys saw this, but Blac Chyna, who obviously shares a son with Tyga and a daughter with Rob Kardashian, tweeted Dream Kardashian. I can't remember the name of this Tyga son, which is why I didn't say their name.
Cairo.
Cairo. Okay. Well, King Cairo. Is that okay? Okay. So it's again, I'm tired.
Yes.
Blac Chyna tweeted single, no support, child support, and then followed up with, yesterday I had to give up 3 of my cars, my reasons, morals, beliefs, being a single mother, no support, I'm a mama. I don't know if that was supposed to be a haiku, but that's how I read it. But these comments are obviously getting attention. She shares these 2 kids with Tyga and Rob Kardashian, and It was posted on the Shade Room, and Tyga responded, I pay $40K a year for my son's school and he lives with me Monday through Saturday. Why would I pay child support? LOL. Then Rob Kardashian chimed in, I pay $37K a year for my daughter's school. I handle every single medical expense. I pay for all her extracurricular activities. I have my daughter Tuesday through Saturday. Why would I pay child support? LOL. And then Tyga at Rob Kardashian official, how do you pay $3K less? Let me know the plug. Laughing face emoji. And there's so many layers to this, but the idea of Rob Kardashian and Tyga, who obviously dated Kylie, has a long history with the Kardashians, teaming up to be like, Blac Chyna, what is this sympathy you're trying to get? We literally have the kids the majority of the time and pay the majority of the expenses according to them. I know there's been a lot of court stuff with all of these people, but was her move just trying to get some sympathy here? And the fact that it backfired and both of them were responding to each other made me laugh.
It was hysterical. I think she was trying to get someone to buy her a new car. She was like, oh, I have to give up my 3 cars. And then when all of them, and Sarah, it's called stepping into the Shade Room. When you comment, they stepped into the Shade Room.
Got it. I was in the Shade Room yesterday.
Yes, they stepped into the Shade Room to comment on this. And they totally just called her out. And they have their kids Tuesday through to Saturday, Monday through Saturday. That's a lot of time to have your kids. I thought it was a little bit more equally split up. So that was really interesting. But Blac Chyna will keep looking for money as Blac Chyna does. As sure as the sun will set, Blac Chyna needs to secure that bag. Well, what made me go whoa this week was Victoria and David Beckham. They were burglarized at their London home while they were inside. A burglar stole thousands of pounds worth of belongings. I'm still waiting for that itemized list. I love an items list of burglary things just because, they're pretty inexpensive. But according to The Sun, a burglar entered upstairs through the bedroom of one of their Holland Park mansion, while Victoria, David, and their 10-year-old daughter Harper relaxed downstairs. The break-in went unnoticed until Cruz, their 17-year-old son, came home from a night out and discovered broken glass in the ransacked room. Now, the source says to The Sun that they were shaken up over the incident, but no one was hurt. The security at the house is good, both physically and technically, but the thieves had broken through a window and darted back through the same one with a small number of items. Luckily, they were just sentimental items for the family. That's terrifying. You're just chilling in your living room and a burglary happens upstairs. In and out. Horrible. So glad that Harper and the Beckhams are okay. Mm-hmm. Well, even though that's a pretty big news story, let's talk about the one. We are going to talk about the Oscars. Don't know if you saw it. Doesn't matter if you did because you heard what happened. The slap heard around the world. Will Smith, of course, stunned the entire audience, both in person and watching from at home, when he took the stage and smacked Chris Rock across the face after the comedian made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's hair loss, a G.I. Jane reference, which I haven't heard since 1999. He said, Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it, which isn't even really that funny. No. It's about Demi Moore shaved her head. It's not even.
I thought Jada Pinkett Smith was in G.I. Jane. Then I was like, she has a bald head. And then I had the elevation. Yeah, I didn't even get it right away.
That would be much funnier if she was actually like in it or up.
Like the movie like bombed and he was like poking fun at like a bad movie. And then right. I didn't know. I knew I could see her head, but I didn't remember that. We'll get into it, but I didn't remember that right away.
Well, it's a deep cut from 1990, maybe 7 or 8. You really gotta, I know your Demi Moore history to get that G.I. Jane joke, but it really didn't go down well because Jada Pinkett Smith suffers from alopecia. So her hair is falling out and is why she's bald. It didn't always used to be the case in the 90s, but it is the case now. A source close to Chris told us that he did not know about this. But of course, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith rolled her eyes. Will Smith was first laughing, saw that she was upset, just walked right up to him and slapped him in the face. And then the Oscars bleeped it, but he said, keeps my wife's name out of your effing mouth. He said that very loudly 2 times in a row. You can see the uncensored clip on Twitter. And then Chris Rock said, wow, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me, he said to the audience before handing out the award for Best Documentary. Now, Will Smith apologized a little bit when he accepted his Oscar to the Academy, but not to Chris Rock. He's had this weird apology say he had won the award for playing the father of Serena and Vanessa Williams, Richard Williams. And he said Richard Williams is a fierce defender. Venus and Serena. He said Richard Williams is a fierce defender of his family, blah, 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 saying that he was a fierce defender and had to punch Chris Rock in the face. It didn't make any sense.
A vessel of love, which whatever that means, especially after you just punch someone or slap someone.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. It was a vessel of love. It was a weird non-apology to the Academy and justification for something he did. We're not even going to read on to that. He finally apologized on Instagram later that night to Chris Rock. Say, I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. Well, that's really nice. I was out of line and I was wrong. I'm embarrassed and my actions were not indicative of the man. Indicative of the man I wanted to be. There is no place for violence in a world of love and kindness. He's not wrong. Now, a lot of celebrities reacted to this, but before I go through some of the notable reactions, let's just get our host reaction. Where were you the day that the slap was heard around this earth?
I truly have endless amounts of thoughts about this, and some of them even like contradict each other, but just like everybody else on the planet, everyone's making it about themselves, which is a whole other thing. But I was obviously at home working the Oscars, sitting on my carpet, thought it was fake. And for like a second being like, oh, is this a bit? Whatever. Clearly it wasn't a bit very quickly. Then I was like, what time is it? Oh my God, I'm going to be working for a million hours. And then I was like, all right, let's really process what's happening here. And I think something that's also, there's just been so many developments, obviously, since it was clearly an unplanned, crazy thing. And I don't know if you guys saw the TikTok footage that just came out from the floor of the theater from behind Jada Pinkett Smith.
With Jada laughing.
Yes. And as Will is walking back post-slap and Chris Rock says, dude, like it was a G.I. Jane joke, Jada starts laughing, like keeling over laughing. And like the whole audience is laughing because I think it was in the moment when no one knew whether it was like funny, a bit or not, but she's also laughing. And then he says the get my name out of your wife's mouth and you can like feel it tense up again. Yeah. But that is, I think, super important to point out. Like she did roll her eyes, but he laughed at the joke. She rolled her eyes, he slapped, and then she laughed. Like, I don't think this was a serious, like, I don't know what it's like to have alopecia and I don't want to act like I do, but I don't think it was as serious of a thing. Like they were laughing too. It's all just so freaking confusing. And there's no excuse to slap someone and like storm the stage. And I don't believe the Academy when they are now claiming that they tried to make him leave. I think that is such a cover up. Their statement the night of was so lame. And I do think there's something to be said for how insane it was that just 10 minutes later, we watched everyone clap for Will Smith. He
standing
cried.
Ovation.
It was so freaking backwards. And I don't think they should take away his Oscar at all, but he shouldn't have been given a platform to talk about love. He should have been they should have said, as Wanda Sykes was saying, she should have gone on stage and be like, Will Smith had to leave. Let's move on. And then Will Smith could release an Instagram statement with his planned speech. He knew he was going to win. So that's another thing. It's like, this was his night. He was a lock to win. If he was so upset about that G.I. Jane joke, wait 10 minutes when you have the glory and make a comment there, use your words. There's just so many different things that could happen. And don't go to the after party and dance and live your best life and then give me some fake apology. Okay.
That's the thing, because here's the long and the short of it. He showed himself to be a malignant narcissist. A malignant narcissist don't have that filter to know that what their actions should be in a situation like that. I actually think that the Academy should rescind the Oscar because there has to be some sort of like serious repercussion that happens from this. I mean, first of all, I too was on the couch watching the Oscars because I was working the Oscars. It was so obvious after the first 3 seconds that it wasn't written or staged because of the way that Chris Rock reacted and the way that Chris Rock then had to, kind of carry on and give that next award. I felt so uncomfortable for him because how humiliating. I mean, how humiliating to be like cold cocked by one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, seconds before. Now, if Will hadn't been sitting in that seat, I don't know that it would have went down the way that it did. It was almost like Will Smith really thought in his heart of hearts that it was okay for him to get up there and slap someone. I mean, that is insanity. And then for him to win the Oscar, not everybody gave a standing ovation. Jason Momoa, for instance, stayed in his seat. Several people were absolutely disgusted. I'm astonished by the people who did give the standing ovation.
A lot of them.
And that's not going to be forgotten very soon. His speech was triggering.
Yeah.
His
so confusing.
Speech was so creepy and smacked of someone who has lost their mind or is just a malignant narcissist. And it reminded me of other malignant narcissists who have completely damaged our culture in the last few years. So there is nothing good about this. It was a bad joke, whether or not it was written. I've seen that it wasn't written and that producers didn't okay it and Chris Rock ad-libbed that joke. I don't know if that's true or not. It was a bad joke. That bad joke did not warrant the actions that followed. And the Academy really needs to not just save face with this, but actually make this right. And the best commentary that I saw was by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on Instagram.
That was fantastic.
If you haven't read that statement,
it's great.
Read it. It's very long, so I don't think that we should read it right now, but it says everything.
Agreed.
But it's also just, it's so interesting because for a few reasons that it was these three people involved in this, because Chris Rock is obviously, I mean, comedians, he's very, very famous. He can be controversial as all comedians can, but he has this weird history with Will and Jada that is like very confusing. Him and Jada were in Madagascar together and they probably didn't record that movie at the same time, but they did press for it, I'm sure. Chris Rock's brother was on a show that Will and Jada produced. There was the Oscars a few years ago where people were protesting the Oscars and Chris Rock made a joke about how Jada Pinkett Smith was protesting, but she wasn't actually invited. And then there's pictures of everyone looking happy over the years. So there's so much to be said for that weird history and that confusion. So maybe there's something we don't know that, not that it's still not an excuse, but that like made him act that way, like something more recently. From everything we've heard, they haven't communicated at all since this, and they didn't communicate beforehand. So I don't know if that's just something interesting to note. And also the fact that Will and Jada are kind of a controversial couple themselves. They had some Scientology ties back in the day. There's the entanglements, there's the open marriage allegations, and then admitting and then denying it years later. There's everything that's been said on Red Table Talk, good, bad, or other. They're controversial. So I think that it would be really interesting if this happened to a couple that was maybe more like, I don't know, universally beloved or even universally hated. Like, I feel like they're kind of like polarizing themselves as well as most comedians are. But as we go into the celebrity reactions, it's just like blowing my mind the way everyone makes it about them. Like, you have people like Jana Kramer reposting things about like abuse victims. And like, I'm sorry, Jana Kramer, but this one has nothing to do with you. And then you have like Bill Maher comparing it to Jackie Kennedy's strength. And I agree. I think Chris Rock, great totally voice. Handled that well, held his composure. A lot of people wouldn't be able to do the same thing. Not the same thing as JFK being shot. You know what I mean? Like, everyone is going in these wild directions and making it about themselves and making these crazy claims about what this means, when really it was just a very heated, unfortunate moment between these three people is how I view it. I don't think it reflects the whole culture. I don't know. I felt like it was a very specific incident, and it's not like everyone who's been through anything needs to find a way to make it about them. That's wild to me.
It is wild. And a source told us after the event that Will and his entire family went to the Vanity Fair after party. They were drinking, dancing, laughing with friends. He was holding on to his Oscar. It was sort of like a regular night, and he nor his family seemed fazed. A source close to Chris said that he went to Guy Osseri's party, who is Madonna's longtime manager, but Guy Osseri and Chris Rock have been best friends for over 25 years. And a source confirms to us that he went over there more for comfort than to actual party, and that he was shaken up throughout the night. He had just been attacked in front of millions of people, totally sucker punch, caught out of the blue. And while he was out at a party, there was more of a harsh tone to Chris Rock's evening, obviously because of the horrible thing that happened to him. Now, some of the celeb reactions, Jaden Smith, maybe with the most disturbing and weird one, and that's how we do it. Will and Jada's son tweeted this after the response, made me feel really icky. Zoe Kravitz, I really liked hers. It was shady and understated. She says, here's a picture of my dress at the show. We're apparently assaulting people on stage now. And then she posted another picture, said, here's a picture of my dress at the show where we are apparently assaulting people on stage now.
People are mad about that, though.
Why?
I think because like Hollywood, I don't know for sure. I know there's like backlash of it, but I think part of the reason is because Hollywood like applauds crazy things behind the scenes and like you have a Harvey White, like people all the time. So the fact that it was on stage, and I think it's definitely in the Black community a controversial thing because it was two Black men and like he was defending a Black woman, and I can't speak to that because I'm not a Black person. Yeah. So I don't know if there's some animosity with that too, but I don't know. People were questioning that response. I don't know.
I again, we can't speak on it, but Jodie Turner-Smith said, she tweeted it. She says, "I have secondhand embarrassment for all that involved." Stephen Colbert spoke on it as a comedian. He said, "Let me say something as an objective observer. It is never okay to punch a comedian. Will Smith was offended by a joke and wanted to stand up for his wife. Fine. Challenge Chris to a duel, or if we really want to hurt a comedian, don't laugh. This hurts way more than a punch in the face. I promise you." Rosie O'Donnell had a rough one. She said, "So upsetting on every level. Bravo to Chris Rock for not eviscerating Will Smith, which he could do any day of the week. He walked away. Bravo from a sad display of toxic masculinity from a narcissistic madman." She said, I mean, damn, really let them have it. I think the answer is violence is never the answer.
Yeah. And then Chris Rock obviously hasn't really, Will Smith did that apology. Chris Rock hasn't said much, but he did travel to Boston for his pre-scheduled stand-up shows on Wednesday night. He did 2 of them. At the first show, I think he got a standing ovation and everyone was kind of going nuts. And he was like, "How was your weekend?" And noted he was still processing and kind of made it clear his whole set wasn't going to be about what happened. And then at his 10 o'clock show, he made a comment that, contrary to what you may have heard, I haven't heard from anybody, which there was some false reports out there that said Will Smith and him had talked privately. And also there was the Diddy of it all, of Diddy trying to pretend like he was going to play Peacemaker and that he did play Peacemaker, which was just all a lie from everything we've heard. And Us Weekly did report on Wednesday that they had not spoken. And then Chris Rock confirmed that at his show. So this isn't over. I mean, the Grammys are this weekend. We thought Trevor Noah potentially acknowledging the Kanye of it all, Trevor Noah's hosting the Grammys, was going to be the story, but it would be shocking if this didn't carry over into the Grammys with another group of Hollywood people who think they know everything, giving each other awards.
It definitely will be brought up a lot at the Grammys. Very excited actually to see it. And I think a lot more people will be tuning into the Grammys because of this Oscars thing. And I bet you it's their highest rated show in many, many decades because of the slap happiness of all of this.
The only thing I'm not surprised about so far is that we haven't gotten the Red Table Talk tease. Like, it's coming, right?
Oh, it's absolutely coming. It's been what, 36 hours, give it a second, but within a week, we will definitely get Red Table Talk. I was telling my fiance who doesn't know much about celebrity gossip, I was like, and she hosts a show for people who have been embarrassed in public, like canceled and need to make amends. I was like, she hosts one of these shows on Facebook called Red Table Talk. So, I mean, perfect platform there. We know it is coming.
I can't wait to hear what Jada's mom thinks about all this.
That's true, because she's also always one who will disagree with Willow and Jada on the show. If it's like with the Olivia Jada of it all, like she was not happy they had her on. Like she doesn't go with the family always necessarily. Well,
you don't really want your daughter to be married to a violent man, even if it is in the name of defending your daughter. It's I think she's going to have some strong things to say.
And did you see Jada's ex entanglement? August tweeted or made this caption about choosing peace.
Oh my God.
It was like 2 years ago. It was like 2020.
No. Oh yeah, but like, I mean, I really don't think he should have said anything.
I respect him getting involved. Listen, August, whatever your name is, you had this affair with Jada, and then they turned it around and pretended like they, in my opinion, that it was an open marriage and it was okay. And he didn't write anything crazy. He was just like, of course people are going to be looking. And if I was him, I'd want people remembering that I existed too. So throw in the
all right.
y'all or whatever BS he wrote. Hilarious. Good job, August.
Well, sources have confirmed to us that they do have an open marriage. They have different ties to each other. They talk about it at different times throughout the last 20 plus years. They have been together. So but I mean, that one was especially messy. Well, there was other stuff in the news this week, guys. And while I know we'll be talking about this for years, decades, a lifetime of this to come, let us move on. We have to talk about this really rough story about Bruce Willis. It's so, so sad. Bruce Willis shared an Instagram post that was shared for him that said, to Bruce's amazing supporters, as a family, we wanted to share that our beloved Bruce has been experiencing some health issues and has recently been diagnosed with aphasia, which is impacting his cognitive abilities. As a result of this, and with much consideration, Bruce is stepping away from the career that meant so much to him. This is a really charm to our family. And it does not stop there, because now we have new allegations. Lala Kent is involved. There is a Rust-like situation. There are now allegations against Bruce Willis, saying that he might have misfired a gun on set. Two individuals were questioned by the LA Times on whether Bruce Willis was fully aware of his surroundings on a movie set, and that he was often paid $2 million for 2 days of work. And they described an alleged incident 2 years ago on the Cincinnati set of the movie Hard Kill, where Bruce Willis unexpectedly fired a gun loaded with a blank in the wrong cue, according to two people familiar with the incident. No crew members, no one was harmed, but this was 2 years ago. And this was Lala Kent's ex, who was the producer of this movie. So it's weird that Lala Kent is involved in this.
Because Lala was in the movie.
And Lala
was the one who was allegedly standing there when Bruce Willis shot this prop gun at the wrong time.
Right. Who would have freaking thought that Lala Kent would be involved in this Bruce Willis cognitive decline story?
Seriously.
But here we are.
It's another A-list Hollywood reality mashup. Love to see it.
It's crazy though, because I mean, obviously when this first came out, it's so sad. You just think like, oh, but it's always so interesting to see like how Demi Moore and his second wife, Emma, are very close, and all 4 daughters are close. And obviously his kids with Emma are much younger than Rumor, Scout, Tallulah. But the statement was signed by everyone, which I thought was nice to see. But then I was on his IMDb, as one does when someone's in the news. And Bruce Willis has 9 movies in post-production from the last 2 years.
Wow.
That's a lot of movies for anyone to have in post-production, let alone someone who I can't imagine he woke up yesterday and this was the decision made. Like, this must have been a long time coming. And I obviously wasn't there. I don't know. But if the LA Times has 20 sources, according to them, 20 sources of what his behavior on movies in the last couple of years, they're not alleging anything Bruce Willis did wrong. They're alleging that the people around Bruce Willis were using him to make money, in a Britney sense, in a way like this person's not necessarily, capable to be doing this, but we're going to get the earpiece in their ear. We're going to read them the lines. We're going to cut dialogue from movies so he didn't have to memorize long ones. He's allegedly misfiring prop guns. Like, thank God nothing worse happened. And Bruce Willis has a very lengthy career that he is so much to be proud of. You don't want that to be tarnished by like money grabs at the end of it. Like, totally. It's just gross and dark. And I mean, the LA Times must be very confident in this reporting to publish something also about someone's health. It's like, it's messy, it's dark, it's layered. And then Lala Kent being there just makes it too much for me to handle.
It is. I will say this is not the first time in my news reporting history that I've heard that Bruce Willis has some type of mental dissociation issues. This has been sort of something that we at Us Weekly News team has heard as of years ago. So this is like not new, but now with all of this coming forward and 20 sources from the LA Times, I'm sure this is not the last story we'll be hearing about this sad, sad story about all these people around Bruce trying to like gloss him up as this show punny to get $2 million a day.
Like, it sounds like Weekend at Bernie's.
It sounds like Weekend at Bernie's and Weekend at Britney's. It really, really does. And it is very sad. And it's Britney, bitch, talking about Justin Timberlake, something we can all
through
agree
Jesus.
On. Yes, through Jesus, of
this
course.
Was shocking.
This was very shocking. This was a post and delete Instagram by one Miss Britney Spears. And while this is not the first time she's done this is maybe the most surprising one that I've heard. Now, in case you forgot, Britney and Justin used to date in the early 2000s. And right after they split, he released his infamous hit, Cry Me a River. a song that was about Britney cheating on him. It had a Britney lookalike in the video, that same newsboy cap, but in leather, same hair extensions. It was really sort of messed up. And that wasn't Jenna Dewan Tatum, but she was around at that time too. As a result of this, Justin gained huge popularity with his solo career. This song really catapulted him into the mainstream. His first song with Kevin Federline as a backup dancer, Like I Love You, was like, but Cry Me a River really made him a mainstream celebrity. And then enter Britney 20 years later. She says, I had a call last night from Jesus. And do you know what he said? Dear child, your mom had a serving with her book at the exact time when you needed her most. All for what? Fame and attention, she wrote, referring to her mother's memoir, Through the Storm, the real story of fame and family in a tabloid world. Britney went on, your ex did the same thing. He served with his first album using your name, claiming you did him dirty. Again, this is Jesus speaking to Britney. You first album using your name, claiming you did him dirty. He called me up and asked if I was okay. She said of Justin, not Jesus. She called me up and said, and wanted to supposedly get back together or whatever, but behind it was, oh, and by the way, you're in a video that's coming out. That kind of got slipped in. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal, he said. I mean, this call from Jesus is very dramatic. What did you guys think of this Britney post and delete?
I'm worried about Brit. I'm worried about her. Everything she's posting just makes me worried. Sorry, Sarah, you started to say something very deep.
No. I was just, when someone sent it in our Slack chain, I was like, wait, your mom, your boy. I'm like, who is this? And like,
it's hard to read.
It's Jesus speaking. And I'm like,
yeah.
Excuse me? I'm like, is it Easter already? Well, Jesus has risen again and he's speaking to Britney Spears. Like, what is happening, you guys? I don't get it at all. I'm always here for Justin Timberlake shade. Like, I'm the opposite of a Timberhead or whatever his fans are called. Probably not that. So I don't hate that she's shading him. And I think that that's funny, but I'm also like Gwen, slightly confused and concerned and don't really know where Jesus Christ comes involved here with Britney. But, I don't know. I'm just ready for the book or whatever's going to come out. I feel like the Instagram posts sort of just make me scared and confused, whether it's like a close-up of the boobs or now Jesus talking. I'm happy for her. I'm always Britney.
One day she embodies the voice of Jesus. The next day she's posing naked. So,
it's just a wild ride,
I think she's trying to tell us something about the Real Housewives of OC from Alexis, who Tamara called Jugs for Jesus.
Jugs. Oh.
Jesus Jugs. So I think Britney might be trying to send a message. I think I've just figured out the Da Vinci Code of all of this. Got it. Yes, I did. Well, anyway, thank you to my hosts, Sarah and Gwen, for helping me spill this piping hot celebrity in good waters and bad. Again, this is Travis Cronin, Us Weekly's Hot Hollywood podcast with your weekly peek into the glamour, glitter, fashion, and fame of your favorite celebrities. Because you know what, guys? After all, they're just like us. Wow, it gets more painful every week. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next week with much more news on all of these topics. And I will have been to the Grammys, so we'll see what happens. All right, thank you guys for listening. Bye, guys.
Bye.